The monster chopper is better off-road than we could have possibly imagined. So this week, we're going to fix its major downfalls, install some headlights, and see if it can hill climb. And maybe, if we're feeling it, we're going to see if it can jump.
I can't believe it could do the track that fast.
Is this Ethan's chain?
Yeah, it looks like it might be.
I have to make some chain guides because we can't have that or, you know, the chain popping off. So I'm gonna make a guide with some of this here UHMW plastic and, you know, do something like that. And then I'll do one on the top section here too. That one's more just to protect the swing arm from the chain slappage. There's many tools that could do this, but you know what? This is the tool that's right here, and it's very satisfying. Check it out. Fancy, schmancy looking chain guide. Now I'm just gonna design up a plate that goes underneath it in CAD that'll weld right to there and to there. Look at how many pieces are in this file for the chopper. And this isn't even close to all of them because there's another whole file called Chopper 2. That's a lot of pieces.
A lot of custom parts.
Two little bolt holes, a bunch of weight reduction triangles, mint. Time to cut out the second chain tensioner. And thanks to the Swindle brothers trying countless times to cut out a wheel adapter that didn't work for a project that will never see the light of day, I'm out an 1/8" plate that's not painted. So this is some fire truck metal. We'll get the cut started and then go outside and not breathe it because that stuff is nasty. Nice, look at that.
It came out nice.
Yeah. So this one is going to be bent into a U shape. So this side here will be bent up and that side will be bent up. And look at that. A little loose, but should do the trick. Getting it a little more snug-a-dug.
Well, it looks pretty nice.
Yeah. Just gotta sand off the rust and tack it on. You're just gonna watch me struggle?
Yep, that's the plan.
Here.
Okay, I can't take this anymore.
Thanks. Alright, time to test out these chain guides by doing another burnout. Well, I think it's safe to say the chain guides work.
Yeah, it seemed to do nice.
Yeah, that was second gear burnouts and didn't show any signs of throwing the chain, so I'll call that a win. Well, we have these radiator fans right here, and those are the original KTM ones. They're very small, but I imagine it doesn't take much. If these can cool that engine on the bike that they came on, it could probably cool it on this. I think I'm gonna mount the fans there, but before I get too carried away with mounting them, I'm gonna test and make sure that they work. So I'm just gonna let it idle until it gets warm and see if they kick on. All the temp sensors and stuff should still be there, but it's untested, so, you know, gotta find out. If it's gonna be running, I might as well be riding it, right?
Well, I heard you revving it up. Did those fans ever kick on?
No. They did not. And I tested, I mean, they very much work. I don't know, I don't think I have the original radiator anymore. It may have had a thermo switch on it for the fans. But then why do these wires go to the ECU? I've done a little testing and I've determined that there's already power at the white wires here, and the green wires just have to be grounded to run. So if I can find a thermo switch that I can plug into the radiator should be grounded.
Wait, why do you need a thermal switch?
Well, because it needs to be a switched ground. The power is off on the bike right now in both ways, and it still has, right? But yeah, so the radiator is grounded. So I just need a thermo switch here. I'm not 100% sure if this is a thermo switch or a temperature gauge. I heated it up and tested it with the testers, and it seemed to connect. It was disconnected completely at cold, and then it made a beepy noise when it warmed up. So I'll just plug that in.
Does that fit?
No, it doesn't quite fit the threads.
I was like,
annoyingly,
wow,
it's a little too small.
Hard special find right there.
No. I'm just gonna take this random AN fitting, drill it out, and then tap it to 1/8" pipe thread, which is threads on the thermo switch. And then the other side of it is already the threads that are in the radiator. So it's just a little thermo switch adapter. Look at that. Like it was made for it.
Now I can hear the fans.
Yeah. And in theory, they'll stay on until the radiator cools off. Which is a little annoying. It'd be nice if they shut off when bikes shut off, but oh well.
Still thinking about some lighting placements?
Yeah. These ones up here are going to be purely aesthetic. Like, I mean, they'll eliminate some things, but like, I just think it'll look really cool with them there. The ones down on the swing arm are the ones that are gonna do the actual eliminating, but it really doesn't matter because I don't anticipate driving this thing at night very often.
That'll look awesome though with the double up here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, something like that. The front here has always felt a little empty to me. Like where the shock is looks really cool, but this kind of area is just kind of missing because normally there is a headlight on a bike there. So even though it doesn't make sense for lighting purposes, it'll make sense visually. I have made an aeroplane.
That's cool.
So it looks really weird, but in theory, if all my measurements are correct, the wings of the airplane here will be folded that way, and those will bolt straight to these lights. I'm really bad at making airplane noises, but it really does look like an airplane. Let's go see if I can bend it up and make it work. I mean, it's a little bit tweaked, but I'll straighten it out.
The moment of truth.
The moment of truth, if all of my measurements line up. I mean, so far it's looking pretty good. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
So, this super worked first try. All the measurements were good. I just kind of guesstimated how far forward I wanted the lower light, and it ended up being farther forward than, like, there's a lot of empty space behind it. So I'm gonna design a new version that's got this, like, an inch or two back from where it is, so it's closer to this one. And then also I'm gonna add in a little bit of gusseting in between these so that it's stronger and looks less empty. Time to redesign the airplane bracket. Little airplane bracket Mark II. I think it's gonna look a lot better and be a little sturdier and generally just improved because it has hexagons this time. I don't know what I was thinking. Something, just an insanity came over me and I didn't put hexagons in it. So that's been fixed.
I think the Swindle brothers are scheming.
I hear you guys scheming. What are you scheming out there?
We don't want to get in the way of your camera, but we're just saying that the chain lead's going to go everywhere with four-wheel drive.
Ah.
We're talking about places we could go.
Don't you think it could go up these rocks?
I don't know. Maybe. I just had to take a little bit off the back and a little bit off of the front of the bolt so that it fits inside there. And then that goes on there. Mint. Yeah, that's more like it.
That looks great.
Nice and solid. It's going to illuminate the ground in front of you when you're turning. When you're going straight, it's just going to illuminate your tire, but that's okay.
The age-old game of will they answer a random number from Idaho.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Hello?
Hi, is this Nick?
Yep.
This is Edwin, Ethan, and Will from Grindhard Plumbing Co.
No way.
Yes, it is. Yeah. You won the Arc Droid, the Welder, and the Drift Quad.
No way.
Yup. Yeah, we just selected this morning. We just put everything in random, and you showed up. Congratulations.
That's amazing.
Oh, you bought a premium hat?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a good
I
deal.
just kind of adopted it into my vocabulary here.
Nice.
It doesn't feel real. All your guys' projects, very cool. I
Thank
like
you.
the Chang Lee. Alright guys, so you made my month. I just turned 40, so.
Oh, happy birthday.
Well, I think that turned out both functional and aesthetically pleasing. I think these kind of, modern square-ish LED pods really kind of fit the weird vibe of this thing. Like, it's got a lot of different things going on, but kind of a cyber steampunk vibe. Halfway between cyberpunk and steampunk.
That's a good way to describe this.
Yeah, right? I mean, like, the tank is kind of steampunk, but then, like, the tires and the lights and stuff and the engine are kind of more like cyberpunky, modern-y stuff. And the wheels, maybe? I don't know. It's cool, okay? And I like it. And the headlights are sweet. Some friends stopped by, so we gotta show off the chopper real quick and do a quick test drive. Once I get the lights all wired up, we're gonna see if we can do the hill climb and maybe hit a jump.
Yeah, that looks different.
Look at the gaps between it. Dude, look, hop, 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 3 feet, hop, 4 feet. Ho ho!
Making a little teeny tiny bracket that I can weld on to hold the all the cables onto the swing arms, the like brake lines and light wires and such like that. They literally just blend in with the slag.
That's definitely the tiniest part I've ever seen you make.
Oh, by far. Yeah, these things are itty bitty.
It's so small, it's hard to film.
Oh no, I hope that's not what she said. Making myself a chain guard here out of another chunk of this pipe. I'm gonna just clean up the outside and then make it a little bit thinner so there's a little more clearance on the inside. Yeah, and obviously I'm gonna cut it in half so it's just half of a circle. You know, I'll flatten it out and it'll wrap around the front here and then come back a little ways on the top and bottom. I think it'll look cool, and then I'll cut like a little tapered on that. So it'll be flush with this side, and then this will sit on top of it, and that'll give it just the right amount of space. And I'll just do like 3 of those. I found these little switches on the internet. They're like 12 bucks a piece, and they're nice little like handlebar mount lighted power switches. So I'm gonna use one for the bike power and then one for the headlights. And then I should be done with the wiring. When you turn on this switch down here, secret switch, it powers on this switch, the DRLs in the headlight, and the power to the radiator fan. So that's effectively the ignition switch. It's a 2-step process to start the bike. You turn on that switch and this switch, and it'll start. And then this switch on the left bar here turns on all 4 of the I-beams. Plenty of light. I'm also, in finishing up odds and ends here, mounting this brake fluid reservoir. I cut out this little tabbity tab here. We'll go something like that. I'm gonna let some air out of these tires and see how it affects the ride quality. I had them at like 20 PSI, just kind of arbitrarily because I wanted them to be nice and round, but I'm gonna let out as much as I can. I'm down close to 10 PSI right now. I'm gonna go for like 8 or something. And as long as they stay pretty round, that's all that matters. Because obviously if I let too much out, they'll get flat and then it'll be harder to corner. Since I got all the other stuff wrapped up, I wanna, do a little bit of testing before I move on to the next bit.
Oh no, the chain. Oh, it didn't break, it just came off?
I think so. I should have put a chain tensioner somewhere in the system, an actual tensioner, because it's just gonna keep getting looser and looser because it's taking like 4 times the torque it should.
Oh, I see.
Because it's got the jack shaft there, and it's just such a long chain. But if I roll onto the throttle instead of, you know, whacking it open, it's not really a problem. It's this last drift that I did is what knocked it off.
Yeah.
Definitely, I mean, as you can guess, is way better.
The lower tire pressure.
Lower tire pressure, yeah. I aired up this shock a little bit, which helped too, so it doesn't bounce quite as bad.
I can't believe it could do the track that fast. And I can't believe you already have the confidence to jump it.
It felt good, you know, I had to try. Well, this thing's a lot of fun. Some more revisions are required for chain survival. This time the chain just actually gave up right at the master link. Airing down the tires made a huge difference. It's still a little bouncy. I might even go a little lower pressure on the rear and also maybe swap out the shock. I'll have this one here because it's a little softer, but this one, this style has a little more damping, and that might help keep the bounce down a little bit. Yeah, change up a few things, do some more testing. I've been doing a little bit of thinking, and I'm gonna do a couple of things. One, with this size of sprocket, there's very minimal clearance for the chain here and here. So I have a 15 tooth sprocket. I'll just have to cut this one off the hub and weld this one on. This is a 13, so 2 teeth bigger there, and this will just make it so I can cruise at lower RPM. It's really not about top speed, because I doubt I'll ever really mess with that very much, but well, let's be honest, that's a lie. I'll find out what the top speed is.
We gotta get this to the salt flats.
Exactly. I'm gonna probably delete this chain guide and just add in a adjustable roller down here. It's stretching out faster than I expected, the chain. Instead of this plastic guide, I'll just add this roller and make it, you know, have a little bit of adjustment to it. And that will serve the same purpose of keeping it from derailing off the sprocket, especially if I put it farther back here. That's the plan. Keep adjusting, modifying, fine-tuning, and testing. Unsurprisingly, the chain does not clear the chain guard because I didn't plan for it to have a bigger sprocket in there. So I'm gonna cut that off and remount it. Bazing! I was just over here trying to like figure out what I want to do about chain tension, and I was just kind of looking at stuff, trying to figure out. Look at this! I twisted that shaft by like 10-15 degrees.
Oh my, I don't know how well that's showing up on camera, but I can see it.
That's an insane amount of torque.
Oh my, yeah, okay, you can see it on camera.
Yeah,
Whoa.
it just twisted it.
Nothing's solid, too, isn't it?
Yeah. 1.25" solid hexagon.
All those people who didn't think this bike would have enough power.
Right?
Twisting that solid hexagonal shaft.
Hexagonal?
Hexagonal? How do you say that?
Not with an O.
Oh no. I've been spending a little bit too much time with it, and I will.
Ah. Let's see. I can't believe how twisted that is. That is just
That's
wild.
actually bananas.
Bananas, because it's bent like a banana.
Exactly.
So I think for my tensioner here, I'm going to start designing it up in CAD. I'm basically going to do a couple of tabs off the bottom of this here with a bolt through it, and then I'll design some side plates that'll bolt through with this sprocket. Looking pretty sweet, huh?
Yeah, that looks nice.
I need to make a gusset for the bottom of it. I'll put a bolt through there with like a little adjustable thing there. I'm making myself a teeny tiny little turnbuckle with these little heim joints, and I don't have a reverse thread tap, but I do have a couple of extra reverse threaded nuts. So I'm just gonna take this little piece of solid, drill it out so that these threads can fit through it, and then weld the nut onto the end. Now that is a better chain tensioner. Look at that. That's just tight with my finger on the turnbuckle here, finger tight. I'm gonna make a little Delrin spacer that goes here because I need a spacer in between there anyway so it doesn't crush. And then that way, if the chain is a little looser here, it'll rub on that on this side. Pretty crispy, eh?
Yeah, that looks nice.
Looks like it's gonna work really nice too. All right, we got some new chain today and some half links. So I'm gonna measure this out against the old one and make sure I cut the right amount of links and put a fresh chain on there. That's pretty wild. It's stretched almost half a link. Now that this new chain and sprocket's on there, let's, I'm not gonna drive it just yet. I'm just gonna do a test on the stand here and see how much smoother it looks with the new situations. Increase the diameter of this a little bit. And now, these also showed up. Look at these. Bar risers that are nice and orange. So I'm gonna replace these bar clamps with these. They're just a smidgen taller, which will get the bars up and help clear the tank. And I think they also move it forward a little bit more. Dang, those look very nice. I've got some new levers on the way because this one's broken and this one's ugly and I drilled holes in it back in the day. So I've got some new levers with another accent of orange and we got this little bit of orange here. It'll just, I think it really makes it pop. Next up on my list of things to fiddle with before I drive this thing again is the rear shock. So I originally had one of these timber sled air shocks on there. I mean, this is the same thing, but it's an older version without the damping adjuster here. And this one has a lot more damping in it and it's adjustable and the rear tends to bounce a bit. So I'm gonna swap it back to this one and see how it rides. So I think it's about time for another test ride to test my suspension adjustments and all the other stuff. I let a little bit of air out of this shock, make the front a little softer, and I'm gonna try it at the firmest damping setting. And then also I'm letting even more air out of the tires. The gauge I was using the other day was not very accurate. The other gauge read 5, this one's more like 10 PSI. So I'm gonna lower them down to actually 5 PSI and see how that changes the handling. You know, a lot of the things that we've built, I'll test it pretty briefly and then tear it down and paint it. But this one, given how much time I've spent on everything else, I wanna do a lot of testing and just really take the time to finish everything before I tear it down, because it's really a bummer when you get it all painted up and then you find something you need to add or modify and then you have to mess up the paint. Yeah, more testing, which means more riding and more jumping. He never would, and he already is.
Look, he's in your Chang Li territory.
I know. I was just Chang Li in there today, actually. He's doing it a lot quicker than me, though. I wouldn't want to go lower with the tire pressure. At this pressure, it's a little harder to lean. It's a little bit less responsive because the tires are just a little flatter and squishier. But otherwise, yeah, it's a lot better.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm gonna need help. All things considered, it does okay in the mud, but I was stuck in a rut there and it was impossible to get out. And now I am covered in mud, and so is the chopper. It may have mud tires, but I don't really recommend it for riding in mud. It's not ideal. That's okay though, that's not what it was built for. The fender works at really, really low speeds, but once you get going even a little bit, then it just takes the mud here and goes plop. Look at my back.
Oh, yeah.
I may have clipped a tree with this headlight. The light itself is fine, it's just the bracket that's all messed up. Oh well, easy fix. Chain tension system worked great though, way better than it was. And you know, having the primary sprocket not be all floppy helped a lot.
For that whole corner.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, isn't it?
So we're gonna have to do a little headlight test here as it's getting dark, because our friend Brady from Go Fast Don't Die, if you watched years ago when we flooded the Tesla, Brady was there for that. It was all his fault. Well, you finally made it to Idaho, and Brady's much more of a motorcycle guy than a Tesla guy. So, you know.
You gonna drive this, Brady?
Good Lord willing. If Derek says I can in his best Irish accent.
He can drive it.
He can drive
He can drive it for sure.
What do you think so far?
Anybody who's watching this on a video, like, you have to come see this thing. Because I've seen you build it, like you've sent me photos and stuff. Then I walked in and it's just like, it's this tall. It's like so rowdy, it's so loud, it's so gnarly.
Brady is gonna be the first person other than me to ever ride this.
That's pretty suiting, really.
Yeah, how do you feel, Brady?
I'm honored, dude. I'm honored.
I can't think of a better person to be the first guest rider.
I'm a little nervous, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I'm good. That went so well.
That's not even the first time it's gone through this section of fence.
Dude, I started going the wrong way, and I couldn't stop going the wrong way.
I think the thing is you just have to lean a lot harder than you're used to.
Yeah. Am I the first one to crash it?
Other than me? Well, yeah.
The second one.
Now its headlights are pointing at the trees. That's probably not a good sign.
I'm trying to counter-steer it.
Yeah, it will counter-steer, but you have to go faster.
Yeah. I feel like I should be riding on the edge of that tire and like counter steer. But when I start to counter steer, I'm not leaning enough.
You have too much experience riding a bike. It's like riding snow bikes. Have you ever ridden a snow bike?
No.
People who ride bikes a lot are really bad at riding snow bikes because they expect it to perform like a motorcycle and it really doesn't. Yeah, she just got warm. I don't know why the fan didn't kick on though. That's interesting. Well, unfortunately, Brady had to leave early in the morning and couldn't stick around to successfully test drive this thing. It was kind of eye-opening for me to see how much of a hard time he had riding this thing, because he rides bikes a lot. And possibly that's why, because he's expecting it to be a normal bike, and it's not a normal bike. But all of the upgrades were extremely successful. The new chain system is way better. The gearing is better. The bar risers, the headlights work. I mean, we tested them. It was dark, ripping around in the dark. We got the tire pressure dialed in. So it's very, very near to completion. In fact, you know, it kind of could be completed at this stage, but there's a few little things I want to do. I want to change up some, beef up this section of the front swing arm here and add some tubing there and a few little odds and ends. We're not going to tear it apart to paint it just yet because we want to take it out and test it on the street before we do, because we haven't had it up to speed yet, so we don't really know how it is. And if I find that I need to make some changes or I break something, I want to do more testing before painting it. And it's already all welded, so it doesn't need that. But yeah, next episode we'll take it out on the streets.
And maybe I could get to drive it on the dirt a little bit at least.
So in next episode you'll get to see Will try to ride this thing.
I'm actually really curious because Brady is way more experienced on bikes than I am. I've ridden a lot of street bikes, but I've never driven anything like this, so I really want to try it.
No one has, Will.
No one has. But seeing Brady have a hard time with it is like, wow, that's crazy.
This has been quite a fun project, and we couldn't do it without all of you guys watching. So thanks for following along with this ridiculous motorcycle build.